Kakarot, Sephiroth, Calcharo, whatever you want to call him, there is one definitive fact about this man. He is a DPS monster and the god of Electro. Well, there isn't much competition in the game, but you catch my drift. I'm gonna run through Calcharo's kit, the most optimal way to play him, his best teams, weapons, builds, and what his future has in store for him. Just before we jump right into it, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel for more WutheringWaves content and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Do it! Okay, diving into Calcharo's kit, everything would contribute to the damage he will be dealing. He has a standard 4-string basic attack that becomes enhanced in his Deathblade gear state through his Resonance Liberation. His Resonance skill can be cast 3 times in a row, each dealing an electro attack. The easiest way to understand how to optimally use his skill would be comparing him to the Luke in Genshin, where you would skill and basic 3 times in a row to deal the most damage you can in a short window of time. Each successful hit from his resonance skill would charge his 40 circuit gauge, which is fully charged after 3 hits, meaning you don't really want to miss one of those hits, since then you would need to wait for his resonance skill to charge back up. So just keep an eye out for those bosses that like to randomly teleport, as it could mess up your flow. When the 40 circuit gauge is maxed, he will be able to cast the heavy attack Mercy, which consumes the gauge for him to teleport and swing down a massive electro attack onto the enemy. Everything should be simple enough to this point. Skill and basic 3 times, then heavy attack for big damage. Then there's his Resonance Liberation, which allows Calcharo to enter his Deathblade gear state. While switching into his Thunder God form, he deals massive Resonance Liberation damage, and that initial explosion does scale off Resonance Liberation damage, so any buffs for Liberation damage would be amazing. The Deathblade gear state will last for 10 seconds, enhancing his basic attacks and switching his 40 circuit into its secondary form too. Rather than using 3 skills to charge the gauge, you will charge it through his basic attacks, and after 5 successful hits on the enemy, he will consume his gauge to deal the heavy attack Death Messenger, teleporting onto the enemy and dealing a massive electro attack considered as Resonance Liberation damage. Another reason why Liberation damage buffs would be great. So when it comes to Forte investment priority, you would want to really upgrade everything, with the intro skill being the last to upgrade. First would definitely be the Forte circuit, as it's the core of his kit. Then Resonance Liberation, basic attack and resonance skill following afterwards. When it comes to playing Calcharo optimally, during the animation of his attacks Mercy and Death Messenger, where he teleports and swings down onto the enemy, you can switch out into your sub DPS that can deal a quick burst of damage, as Calcharo's heavy attack animation doesn't cancel when switching. So during that 2-second window, to deal the most DPS possible, you would switch into your sub DPS character and then switch back once Calcharo's animation has finished. This does also work when Calcharo is in a Deathblade gear state, so his ultimate won't cancel if you are switching between characters. Just note that would be the strat to deal the most damage to enemies, but isn't completely necessary, so don't worry too much if you don't want to complicate things. You can use Calcharo with 100% uptime on the field and still destroy enemies, but it's worth implementing if you want to learn to deal the most damage with your team, which may come in handy for players that are planning to pick up Yinlin, since that would be the optimal way to play this dangerous electro duo. Yinlin is able to deal great damage in a short window, so switching between these 2 characters would be the strat to deal explosive damage. Now moving on to the teams you can run with Calcharo. Calcharo is a main DPS, requiring a lot of on-field time, and wouldn't benefit the team having him as a sub. So the first team up would be Calcharo, Jiyan, and Verena. I'm closing in on my guarantee for Verena, so Baizhu is stepping in for her till then. Now, I did cover this team in my previous video going over Jiyan, so you would be aware of how good this team is if you have watched it. As I mentioned earlier, Calcharo does in fact deal a massive burst of Resonance Liberation damage when switching into his Deathblade gear state. So Jiyan's outro skill, which increases Resonance Liberation damage by 38% for 14 seconds, will be perfect in boosting that damage. Also, Calcharo's heavy attack Death Messenger will be considered as Resonance Liberation damage, and you should be able to deal 2 Death Messenger attacks within that 10-second window, which will also be boosted. So there is a ton of value from Jiyan's outro skill. Calcharo can deal a lot of single target damage, so Jiyan's Resonance Liberation grouping enemies will allow for Calcharo to cleave through all of them at once. Then Verena will be able to offer a 20% attack buff through her outro skill, along with a 15% damage deepen increase for the entire team for 30 seconds, in addition to the heals she provides and the ability to cheat death. I have been using this team minus Verena for Baizhu for a while, and it's quite a comfortable team that allows Calcharo to deal a lot of damage with lots of survivability through Jiyan and Baizhu. If you are looking for a team with one less support, Calcharo, Mortifi and Jiyan might be the team for you. You can switch Jiyan for either Verena or Baizhu, but I love the amount of utility Jiyan can provide, so I would recommend her. Mortifi is able to provide Burning Rhapsody through his ultimate for Calcharo's attacks, allowing for 1 fusion coordinated attack to be dealt per basic attack and 2 for heavy attacks from Calcharo. So when you switch Calcharo into his Deathblade gear state and his attacks become much more quicker to deal, Burning Rhapsody will work like a charm. Calcharo often lands Mercy on enemies too, which is a heavy attack, so Mortifi's ultimate will be greatly beneficial for Calcharo. Mortifi is able to provide a boost in heavy attack damage by 38% through his outro skill, so Mercy already dealing amazing damage from Calcharo will be dealing even more. Mortifi being a great sub DPS would be a candidate for quick swapping with Calcharo and his heavy attacks. During Calcharo's heavy attack animations, you can switch Mortifi in to pop his skill and charge his gauge, then switch back to Calcharo. So these two would be a very strong offensive duo, with Jiyan in the back providing a ton of utility for the team. Now, in regards to the near future, the best team for Calcharo would consist of himself, Yinlin and Verena. Just like Jiyan's outro skill is amazing for Calcharo, Yinlin's will be perfect for him, as it provides increased electro damage by 20% and increased resonance liberation damage by 25%. So Yinlin will allow Calcharo to inflict that explosive resonance liberation damage similar to Jiyan, and will also be increasing his electro damage at the same time in exchange for less of a liberation boost. As I mentioned earlier, you would likely want to quick swap between Calcharo and Yinlin to deal the most damage possible on enemies during Calcharo's heavy attack animations. However, Yinlin's outro skill is limited to 14 seconds or when the character switching in, being Calcharo, exits. So you wouldn't gain the entire buff duration of Yinlin's outro skill for Calcharo when you are quick swapping between them in battle. It would still be the optimal way to play them, however the amount of damage you deal extra wouldn't be that big of a difference, I believe. We will just have to see how much damage value you gain when Yinlin drops. So players could comfortably switch between these characters without losing that much value possibly. Yinlin is able to inflict enemies with a punishment mark through her Forte circuit, which deals coordinated electro attacks to the enemies attacked with the mark on them. These coordinated attacks can pop with Yinlin switched out too, so being very similar to Mortifi. So you can switch Calcharo back in to deal even more electro damage to enemies. These two would be a powerful electro duo for a while, and with Verena pumping up their attack and damage dealt to both Yinlin and Calcharo. So this would be the team to definitely look forward to if you are planning to pull Yinlin and you have Calcharo and Verena built up. And just in case you needed another reason to pull Yinlin, in terms of weapons you can run on Calcharo, the best option in my opinion would be the Vedant Summit due to the massive crit damage boost it provides as the main stat, along with the increase in all resonance damage by 12% and can increase heavy attack damage up to 48%. Calcharo's entire kit, as I said, will contribute to the damage he deals, so everything this weapon provides will be amazing for Calcharo. However, it is an exclusive weapon that not many players may have the Ashrat to pull for if they are going for Jiyan 2. The Lustrous Razor is another amazing option, and you could argue it is better than the Vedant Summit. It provides attack percent as the main stat, along with increasing energy regen by 12.8% and increasing resonance liberation damage by 14%. Now I don't have this weapon so I can't show you, but there was a bug regarding the resonance liberation damage boost. The weapon states you receive stacks of 7% whenever you pop the resonance skill with 2 max stacks. However, since Calcharo uses 3 skills in a row, the resonance liberation damage boost was seen to provide a total increase of 21%, opposed to 14%, allowing for the ultimate to hit even harder. Not sure if that's been patched or not, but that aside, this weapon providing energy regen will allow Calcharo to pop his abilities quicker, meaning you can quick swap between Calcharo and your sub DPS much more often, since Calcharo's skill will be back up quicker, enabling you to use the heavy attack. So if you are looking to quick swap between Calcharo and your sub DPS, this weapon is potentially the best option for him. Autumn Trace is a great force option, providing crit rate as the main stat, along with increasing attack up to 20%. However, it is a battle pass weapon, so there is a paywall to obtain it. Helios Cleaver is the weapon I run, and is the best free to play option, providing an attack main stat and can increase attack up to 12%. You can pick up Lustrous Razor for free at Union level 45, so if you are a die-hard Calcharo main, I would recommend it. Otherwise, any of these swords would be great for him. For Echo sets, the Void Thunder set would be one of his best ones, providing up to a 40% electro damage boost, which would allow his entire kit to deal more damage. You can mix and match with having a 2-piece Void Thunder and a 2-piece Lingering Tunes, as then you will receive a 10% attack boost and a 10% electro damage boost. To boost your energy recharge for those quick swaps with the sub DPS, you may want to use Void Thunder and the Moonlit Clouds for the 10% energy regen. The full Lingering Tune set is also a great option, providing up to a 30% attack increase, and the outro skill damage is increased by 60%. You gain stacks of attack buffs the longer you stay on the field with Calcharo, so just know if you are quick swapping, the buffs will reset, hindering the full uptime of the attack buff. The main echo you want to use for Calcharo would be Thundering Mephis. The echo itself is on the slower side in completing its animation, but you will receive a 12% electro damage boost and a 12% resonance liberation boost, which will be amazing for Calcharo. The Mech Abomination is a great choice too, since it's a lot quicker than the Thundering Mephis, and if you are looking to run the Lingering Tunes Echo set. However, it will only provide a 12% attack boost, so it does fall short to the Thundering Mephis in buffing Calcharo. The Tempest Mephis is an alternative to the Thundering Mephis as it's a lot quicker. However, it provides an electro damage boost by 12% and a heavy attack damage boost by 12%. Still good buffs for Calcharo, but Resonance Liberation damage would be better when Calcharo pops his ultimate. Of course, it always depends on which echo set and main echoes you have available with the best main stats. So any of these would be great with the right stats you are after. Overall, Calcharo really is a powerhouse of a DPS that can be played in a simple manner, or if you want to optimize the amount of DPS he can deal with his sub DPS, you can quick swap and deal even more damage. As a DPS character, I personally find him very fun to use, and he should definitely be one of your guaranteed 5-star characters. Also, since he has great synergy with Yinlin, that's even more of a reason to build him, as those two will be a very strong duo for a while. Until they decide to drop a more broken Electro main DPS, which I don't think will happen for a long time. The only issue I do have wouldn't be about Calcharo, but regarding Thundering Mephis being as slow as it is. If only he had an echo as quick as Dreamless with the same buffs, it would make him even better. So I do hope more Electro echoes that are much faster release soon, and Calcharo will be able to utilize them. If you guys enjoyed the video, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel for more WutheringWaves content and drop a like. Also, drop a comment on what you think about Calcharo, and are you perhaps looking to pick up Yinlin for him? And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.